Hi, everyone. It's Lauren Conlin from Pop Crime TV. Before we get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, or become a member. Okay, a few weeks ago, I gave an update on what was going on in the case against Duane Davis, aka Keefe D, for his alleged involvement in the murder of Tupac Shakur in 1996. So, Las Vegas police and the state were able to place Keefe D's wife, Paula Clemons, in Vegas the night of September 7th due to finding decades old hotel records. So she booked a room at the Park MGM, which was known as the Monte Carlo back then. And they were also able to find Orlando Anderson, who is Kefe D's nephew, the alleged gunman in all of this. They were able to find hotel records for him as well at a different hotel at the Excelsior. Now, this is what I did not talk about. Well, I want to give some background, first of all, and then I want to go into the fact that the 179-page document that the state put forth when they denied Keefe D bail 2 weeks ago mentioned Puffy or Diddy over 77 times. And I will get into that. So back in the 90s, Death Row, they had these medallions, these chains, and Diddy had a $10,000 bounty on these medallions. So it was said that the reason that the MGM fight broke out the night of the Tyson fight, where it shows Tupac beating up Orlando Anderson, well, Orlando Anderson allegedly had tried to steal one of these medallions from somebody, associated with Tupac and Suge. So this was retribution. This was, whatever. So then in these documents that say Puffy's name over 77 times, these documents have interviews from 2008, 2009, when Keefe D was a proffer for the LAPD. And I mentioned this in the last video. He was working with them trying to find out what happened to Tupac and what happened to Biggie as well. And he kind of had to do this. He had a drug charge. I mean, look, Keefe D's rap sheet is longer than J-Lo's husband list. It's crazy. So he was kind of like, all right, if I do this, you guys will help me out with these charges. And also because he was a proffer, it was pretty much known that what he said would not be disclosed. However, I don't know exactly what was in that proffer agreement, like I stated, but I did speak to some people in law enforcement, and I just said, how were they able to break this? Just speculating, how were they able to break this? And law enforcement said, well, Keefe D, part of the deal is for him to keep his mouth shut also. And as we know, Keefe D has been running his mouth about everything for the last 2 decades. So I'm under the impression, and again, this is speculation, they broke this because he had broken his promise and he had been talking about Tupac's death. He had been monetizing off of it. Just, yeah, not great. Again, I don't have proof of that. That is just speculation based on speaking to law enforcement. So you've got this information, and Keefe D essentially had told the LAPD and law enforcement that at a party back in California in the 90s, Diddy had stated in front of a lot of people that he would give anything for Suge's head, for Tupac's head. And he had stated this in front of Eric Zip Martin and also Keefe D. So Keefe D says, yeah, cool, we'll probably get this done. I'm sure we can get this done. And then fast forward to September 7th in Las Vegas. Now, where I'm not certain that that was a planned hit. I think multiple things can be true at once. Diddy could have said that, and Keefe D could have said, yeah, sure, we'll get it done. And then this fight breaks out, and Keefe D says, okay, well, he told me that this needs to get done, so let's do it tonight. So it could have been reactive. It didn't have to be this whole, I guess, masterminded plan, which is what I initially had thought in my head. And I'm thinking, well, Keefe D doesn't seem smart enough to mastermind this whole thing. Just saying, just putting it out there. And I also want to put out there, Diddy is not a suspect. He is not a suspect. Law enforcement has said he's not a suspect, but this is just too important not to speak about. So Diddy's name being mentioned over 77 times in this document indicates that he could have been the reason that this hit was brought forth. And it was stated that after Tupac died, Diddy called Keefe D and said, "Hey, was that us? Was that the Southside Crips?" And Keefe D said, "Yeah," very proudly. You can find this all in the documents online. And I've also linked out a couple of the I've linked out the original indictment. I've linked out the grand jury testimony from 2023. And then I've also linked out the recent bail minutes from June when Keefe D was denied bail. And so let's get into that, because he does have a freak out in court over this. And I brought this up last time. He was denied bail, or I think I brought this up last time. He was denied bail because he had someone named Cash Jones put up a partial amount of the bail after the judge had lowered it. And the rest of it was going to come from a bail bond company. But the judge said, "Well, look, this person that put up the bail for you, Cash Jones, it looks like they're part of an entertainment or a production company. And they really just, you're going to get out of jail. You're going to await your trial, and you're going to make more money profiting and talking off of Tupac's death. So I don't want that. You're done here." Well, the prosecution filed that 179-page document, which would indicate that Eric Zip Davis and Keefe D could be paid for murder for hire. So then the judge was like, "Well, wait a second. You're also telling me here that you can be paid to murder someone. So again, why would I let you on the street?" Well, Keefe D, in my opinion here, he freaked out in court for a number of reasons. I'm sure he's very frustrated. I'm sure he wants to get out of jail before the trial starts. He's said to have cancer. He's 61 years old. I mean, I'm almost 40. I feel like crap every day. It's just just the way we feel when we get older. So yeah, I think he was upset about that. And then number two, he was also shocked and probably a little bit nervous that what he said about Diddy is now coming to light. I mean, I don't know if he's thinking, "Hey, I look like a rat," but yeah, it's not the best look. So I'm going to play what happened in court for you guys right now. Let me just move this off the screen and share what happened in court last week. All right. Yeah, sparks fly in court. Let's do this.
This Mr. Greg Hayden had them boxes at his house for 15 years in his attic, doing all kind of TV interviews. That the boxes should not be allowed in the cases. Yeah, the boxes should not be allowed. The tainted evidence, everything. The man, he broke a proffer agreement, and he broke the law, all kind of stuff. The boxes should not be allowed. They've been at his house for 15 years, and he do interviews, going in the boxes. Let me see here. You can see it on any internet site that this man been going in the boxes for years. And he's a judge, federal judge in LA, did a 142-page thing about him. Look it up on the internet.
So I think what the state said ultimately is that they don't think there's going to be anything in those boxes that they're going to use.
You just use something in the boxes. They just used something in the boxes from 1996. You know what they did.
Yeah, no, certainly, certainly we are.
They're not only ugly on the outside, but they're ugly on the inside. They crashed in my family in this. They did my daughter first. They did my son. Then they just did my wife the last year. What's the name? Told me about these. David Westbrook told me about these dudes. He said they're not only ugly on the outside, but they're ugly on the inside too. These two dudes right here.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to remove that. I mean, yeah, he's very upset clearly because the judge is saying, yeah, nothing in those boxes from 2008, 2009 were used when you were proffer. And he's like, what are you talking about? Of course something was used. We now know that I talked about Diddy. So yeah, he's very upset now that, they tapped his daughter and his son for information before, and now they've got information on his wife place. It's just, oh, and by the way, I did look up Paula Clemons, his wife. She has a nice rap sheet herself. She tried to steal cars back in the 90s, or steal a car. So that was very interesting. And I also have a note out to the Las Vegas or Clark County Sheriff's Department. I really want to get a quote from them, because I know they can't give a full press interview based on the fact that this investigation is still ongoing, and the trial is coming up in November. But I did have a couple of questions that I really wanted answers to. And look, I said some things on my last video that I feel a little silly about. I want to take some of this stuff back, in terms of the fact that I have now spoken to multiple people in law enforcement. So after they decided they could put Keefe D 100% in Las Vegas, or let's say 70%, because his wife booked this hotel, I'm thinking, okay, all they have to do is find the camera footage. No problem. They can easily put him there. What was I thinking? Again, it's been 30 years, almost 30 years. How are they going to find this camera footage? It is not going to be that simple. Not that simple at all. And you can't just convict someone based on a confession. So this is going to be interesting. While I do think that the case is strong enough, it's honestly all about what you can prove with evidence. And at this point, if they don't have photographic evidence or video footage putting Keefe D in Las Vegas, I'm concerned. I'm very concerned. And yeah, I mean, they do have a few months until trial to keep producing this evidence and this discovery. So let's see how it goes. I'll keep everyone posted on this case. And if I get a quote from the Clark County Sheriff's Office. And also, I want to point out that I will be covering this case on my Wednesday night show, Primetime Crime, and you can find that on YouTube at Primetime Crime Show. I do that with a former homicide prosecutor who is so great at answering all of our legal questions. All right, guys, that's all I wanted to go over today. I mean, I wanted to just put out another video because I watched my other video, and the first one, and I was like, ooh, I think I should clarify some things on why this case is not going to be as easy as I thought it would be. So, like I said, I'll keep everyone posted as things progress, but thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and become a member to Pop Crime TV.